Hi, my name is Spencer Chalk-Levy. I'm originally from New York City, but I'm living here in Vienna, Austria. And I would love to present to you my new project, Self-Reflection. Well, in 2021, I was sketching these kind of frames that would go into kind of the world of my Spencer Palais. And then these forms started kind of haunting me and coming back to me in a way that they were almost like runes or symbols. And then it happened to be around the same time that I got into the world of 3D printing. And my world really changed and expanded because, going from 2D, even on paintings, it's a real 3D world. And from my history in fashion, I also love to really work with an atelier, but I don't really have an atelier. So, like my tapestries, I'm not the one who physically makes them. It's a jacquard weaving machine, and then I usually do the finishing touches, just like with my frames. My 3D printer, of course, I do the work, I do the design, and I do actually the slicing is what you call making the code of 3D prints. But then, I have an electronic assistant who basically, with a plastic string heated up, can make these really, really beautiful creations, basically like a cabinet of curiosities or like a treasure trove. And of course, I almost exclusively use the gold strings because I have something about the color gold. I think the inspiration really comes from that I was making these drawings of rooms that had kind of this neo-rococo baroque type molding on top of it, because I had this feeling that I wanted to keep all the different series I do in my artwork, in my paintings, tapestries, and sculptures. I really wanted to put them in a context rather than having someone else put it in a context for me. I really wanted to place it in my own context. And then I thought specifically for this project that a frame is the end of the world somehow, And I thought that a mirror, not only for myself, but it brings the viewer in. A lot of my paintings, I kind of take this late Renaissance trend of always having one person look out to bring the viewer into the painting. And I thought a much more obvious or a much more very direct way, I literally just put a mirror into the middle of the work. So the work becomes the viewer in some kind of way. I think that when I was growing up, I was always playing with plastic toys and kind of very dumbed down versions of what real things were. In the same way that I kind of simplify and boil down all that I think about from Baroque architecture and design language, I decided to make, in the vein of a Polly Pocket or a Mad Max or a Playmobil, I just love the idea of making an art piece that is purposely such a thing, and to really reflect onto the viewer as well as on myself, because when I see myself in the mirror, it becomes me. And when it's on the wall, it becomes the viewer. So it's kind of like an empty house that changes its meaning with whoever's looking at it. There's a lot of work that goes behind it. And then I'm kind of teaching the device what I want. And it's almost like how Christian Dior had the whole haute couture atelier full of petites mains. And in this way, I can use the most modern technologies to create things that would take a whole work stat of people to do. In the past years, with my tapestries, for example, I would have the drawing done and then I would have machines do the jacquard, because I feel we're living in a world where it's not really about how it's made, it's just the concept and it's the finished product a lot of the time. And in my paintings, I take so much time, and not only in the thought process, but in the actual making of it. I'm not necessarily a quick painter. I like to use many, many layers and really start from just black and white and build up. And then I realized that it's a whole world in 3D printing to learn, because it's not just, okay, I have this idea and let me go to this. I actually, to get from A to Z, I have to digitally draw the drawing in a PNG, and then I have to open Adobe Illustrator and then make the PNG to an STL, and then I open Blender, and then I work the file in Blender, which is an open source free application. And then that's where I really make the frame. And then I slice it, which basically means making the code for this, that I do in another app called Cura. And so to get where I am here, where it looks like a plastic kind of fantastic toy or object, there was a lot of skills to be learned. And I love the fact that in the end that it's not me chipping away or sanding the wood. It's a lot of me learning and working with the newest technologies to create my own workshop. That I love this idea that now I have my own petite main in the situation. And it's, I don't need a studio of 15 people. I don't need 500 square meter workstat. I can do this in my studio. I can do this at my home. And a lot of the work is internal. It's in my sketchbook. It's on my laptop. And for this, I kind of really enjoy taking such ancient folklore, stories, design language, and in my own lens, bringing it to the forefront of technology.